Hi guys, I'm Precious and you're welcome to another awesome episode of Precious Kitchen. I'm so excited because I'll be showing you guys today how I make one of my favorite things in the whole world. It's called Koki Beans in Cameroon. It's actually a pudding made out of black-eyed peas. It's a popular street food, but you can make it at home and it's going to be just so delicious. Let's go over the ingredients and then we can start with the cooking. Okay, right here we have the beans, which is our main ingredient. These are 8 cups of Koki beans, also called black-eyed peas or moin moin beans. These are 8 cups that have been peeled, and by peeled I mean the skin has been washed off the beans. The process is pretty easy. You can watch me doing that in my aqua beans video. I'm going to link that video in the description box below. So these are 8 cups of washed beans. This is what the beans looks like when it's not been peeled and washed. This is a full thing. Black-eyed peas, you can find this basically any part of the world you're in, so no excuse. You can make Koki beans wherever you are. So this is palm oil. I'm going to be using about 1 to 2 cups of palm oil for 8 cups of beans. Then salt and pepper. I'm using chili here, but if you have any other kind of hot pepper, maybe scotch bonnet or habanero, that will work just fine. Right here is a bag of spinach. Traditionally we use cocoyam leaves, but since I can't find cocoyam leaves here, I'm going with spinach. Then I have plantain leaves, or banana leaves rather. I buy these from an Asian store from the frozen section, comes from the freezer. So I'm going to wash these and warm to use. I'm also going to be using foil. You're going to see how I use both of them together. So let's get started with the cooking. So the first thing I'm doing is putting that beans into my good old blender. I'm going to blend it with some water. It's going to blend, but you don't want to blend it into a smooth, very smooth paste. It should be a little coarse because that's the way Koki beans should be, not a smooth, very smooth paste. Now, a number of you have asked me what blender I use. I use a Ninja. I'm going to link that in the description box below. This baby is really good. It blends every single thing I want to blend. It's just so good, and it's not as expensive as the other high performance blenders. So it's really been a good deal for me. I've had this one for like 3 years and it's been serving me just fine. So I'm going to blend this in about 2 batches. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all blended. The last batch of the beans, all blended with all that pepper. So here is my beans all blended. You can see how coarse it looks. That's the perfect texture, and I just like seeing those little bits of pepper around in the beans. I don't know why, it makes me happy. So I used 4 cups of water to blend the beans. It's very okay to add water because without water it's going to be hard as a rock. So let's go over and heat up our palm oil, chop our spinach, and let everything come together. So I have my oil heating up there. I'm not bleaching the oil. I just want it to heat up a little bit so it mixes easily with the ground beans. While it's heating up, I'll go ahead and chop off my spinach. So I'm just chopping it like very big because this thing shrinks like crazy. So you don't want to chop it finely and then it just disappears into your beans. Okay guys, oil is heated, spinach chopped. Let's bring everything together. See how that looks. It still looks really thick even though I put in up to 4 cups of water. So I'm just going to go in and add in more water. Okay, so I'm using my egg wicks so that I could trap in air so that the Koki beans should be spongy. It should be airy, moist. That's the way Koki beans should be, not dense and heavy. So I'm just beating it to trap in air. If you have an electric mixer, that's a hand mixer, you could use it. So I'm going to add in more water, about 1 cup more of water. You really need to add in water. Do not fear, it's going to come together. I remember when I was still learning how to make this, you know, the very first time I made it actually all on my own, it was so hard. I was like, what's going on here? It needs a lot of water, so it's not so hard. It has to be moist, airy. That's it, perfect. So I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of salt. This thing right here needs a lot of salt, and it's always okay to taste it to be sure the salt has to taste, it has to taste a little more salty than usual, because when it cooks, this taste is going to balance out. Koki beans and Accra beans, for some reason, that's the way they are. So look at that. Our mothers use a mortar and a pestle to stir and trap in all that air. So now that salt is incorporated, I'm going to add in my oil while mixing. This is a very low maintenance meal. You don't need a lot of ingredients. Oil, salt, leaves. Some people add in a bit of onion for flavor. Some people add in Maggi, but I prefer to do it without, because it tastes just great without those things. So I'll just taste it and see. Just a tiny bit of salt more. There we go. Now it's time to put in that spinach. Put in as much or as little as you want. I like to see the leaves like all over the koki. Some people do koki beans without the leaves. So suit yourself. If you don't like to see the leaves, it's up to you. Oops. Just going to use my spatula and fold that in like a cake. This is like an African cake, right? There we go, guys. All set to be wrapped. Now let's prepare our leaves and wrap this thing. Okay, I have my pot all lined up here with banana leaves. Just the ones that were bad. As I was fixing up the leaves, the bad ones, I used them to line my large pot. Then I've treated the leaves. I've washed them. I soaked them in hot water. You could warm them over an open flame, but I just used hot water since that was easier for me. So let's start wrapping our koki beans. I'm just cutting my foil into like a rectangle. Put it in a bowl to give it some form. Let's push it down. Open it up. Then I'll take my plantain leaf. This is a little too long, so I'm just going to cut off that edge. Cut into a rectangle too. And put it into that bowl and just gently push it down. The bowl helps to give it some form. So when it's all set, I'll put in my mixture. So I'm putting in like 2 spoons, and I keep mixing even as I put in that mixture, because when it stays without being mixed, it kind of disintegrates. So I just keep mixing. So that's 2 spoons. I use the foil because it helps me to just, I don't need to tie the leaves with anything. So when I put the leaves together, I just put that foil on top. See, that's the leaf together. All I need to do is put that foil on top to secure it, and that's really just it. And I put that in my pan. Look at that little cute one. Look. This is the last one. You can see that it's already cooking. I added 2 cups of water, hot water, into the pot so it could start boiling immediately, so that heat just starts cooking the koki while I'm still wrapping. I just like doing it that way. You don't have to though. So I'm just covering this with some aluminium foil. I would have used the banana leaves, but they are all finished, so I'm using aluminium foil to just cover this so that steam stays in there. It's going to cook for 1 to 2 hours. What will happen is I'll keep adding the water. Like every 15 minutes I'll add in about a cup of water, so it keeps cooking it. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. It's all done. I bought some ripe plantains to go with the koki beans, because koki and ripe plantains, that's just a match made in heaven. So I'm just going to open my tiny bundle here. That smell, I feel like I just bought koki from Mommy Cooky in the Kati. Oh my goodness, look at that. So authentic. I can't wait to dig in. I'll just put my plantain on the side and pretend that I just bought this from Mommy Cooky off the street, because this is the way she'll serve it, right on the leaf, you know, with that plantain. Just dig in. It is so moist. It has that spongy look that is to die for. This is it. Good Cooky. I'm so excited, you guys. Please try this. You won't regret it. It is so moist. The seasoning is just perfect. A little bit of that pepper is hitting me. It's not overwhelming. Everything just came together beautifully. I hope you enjoyed watching me. For the full recipe, go to my blog preciouscore.com. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.